spot with a clean 2-0. Pyrus sitting down with Froggen to talk about it.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. I am joined by Froggen. So now you have yourself locked in at least to the second seed, most likely there. How important is it for you to have that one, Froggen?
Yeah, it's really important. I mean, I expected already going into this split that we would get in playoffs for sure, because of the roster, obviously. But it's a bit unfortunate that we are not first place. But it's still actually possible if Vitality wins against Unicorns. But yeah, it's probably unlikely. But I'm very happy about it anyway.
Okay, well, you're going to be cheering for Vitality, I assume, then, yeah?
Yes.
Okay, good. Let's look ahead to some of the playoff opponents you're probably going to be facing off against. I mean, it could be Fnatic, it could be Misfits potentially. Who would you rather face out of the two of them?
I don't want to play against Fnatic because it's my old team, and I feel kind of pressure to play against them, obviously, because I played with them for 2 years, and it would be sad to lose against them or win against them. I prefer to play against Misfits, yeah.
Okay, that's completely fair. I understand that situation. But now, you had maybe a little bit of challenge against Origen. Is that something you're concerned about looking ahead into the playoffs?
I don't think they actually, I mean, they challenged us, but I think we challenged ourselves more. Like, in the first game, I think we played pretty good. The second game, my jungler was trolling a bit, flashing in the turret and then giving 2 kills. So, I mean, we still came back when we were behind, so I'm pretty happy anyways.
Yeah, you still managed to do it. And I noticed, yeah, maybe the composition, maybe not one of the easiest. Is that another one of the probably specials trying to train you guys in the hyperbolic time chamber?
I mean, yeah, we could have picked like a mobile assassin again for me, and I could maybe snowball harder. But I think, like, today, I think we have to test like our main champions as well. And I feel like Origen is probably, I mean, everyone knows this is probably the best champion right now in the game. And yeah, we just have to get ready for Sunday's match against Splice.
Yep, trying to shore up those weaknesses and make sure that all your strengths are there as well. Let's talk a little about team comps too. Last thing I want to ask you, because at the very beginning of the split, you mentioned to me that the team hadn't quite settled into like a shot calling strategy just yet. What has changed for you over the course of the split and how your team communicates?
I think specifically for our bot lane, we have been talking so much more on bot, and also my synergy with Jankos is getting so much better, and I just feel like we grew so much as a team, like macro-wise and like individually as well, because Pro criticize a lot, and the players criticize them a lot themselves a lot as well. So I feel like we've been growing very fast, and we're probably like one of the best teams in Europe right now for sure.
Okay, well, looking forward to see how you perform in those playoffs. And up against Splice, congratulations again on your win, Froggen.
Thanks.
All right, for now, we're going to toss it over to the desk.
Thank you. I actually feel a bit bad about the analysis we have prepared now, because Froggen's obviously saying they are, they have improved a lot. They're a very good team, and they are a very good team. But again, in this game, we had a thing or two to criticize. So we're going to start by looking at the early game, and to OG's, praise also, Syncroft also in him.
Yeah, I think in this replay, obviously, a lot of the blame will be on Jankos because he flashed in after Cillian already flashed, and he should not be doing that. But I also think Froggen just used his flash to try to flash QW Cillian that is obviously going to flash anyway. Like, any player in the league will be able to react to that, and it will never work.
Jankos trolling again. Didn't wait for the Q from Lee Sin to actually expire before he took the blast cone. Then he's gonna die for that reason, because now there's 3 of us coming.
Yeah, we're gonna look at a couple of moves.
This is okay because he got the Grump there.
Yeah, he got the Grump. This is what happens, by the way, when you troll Prolly. He told us last week, or it was Froggen, sorry, who told us last week that Prolly is learning a lot of different kind of punishment techniques, and he's trying to use them on some of his players, Jankos especially after this one. It's gonna be a bad night for Jankos.
And Froggen, also, you had a lot to say about the EU Graves that we saw in this game specifically and overall.
Toxic, very toxic over here.
Tell us, give us your insight from the NA side of things.
I'm used to playing with NA Graves, and that's just, you pick Graves, and then you usually get ahead in the early game because he's a busted early game champion. But, I mean, Jankos had a different approach, and it worked for him. He ended up winning. Maybe we have a thing or two to learn right there.
He went down 0-2, and they were down 4K gold against Origen. That says enough about how bad the early game was for H2K.
It was. But we're going to move on, because we could bash it for a really long time, but we're going to have to see how it improves. And also, it's, not a very positive atmosphere if we do. But I think we had to call it out. And then we have to look at the mid and late game. And you guys said, well, Origen has this advantage, but it will be very difficult for them to close it out.
Yeah, just because they barely get any practice, kind of closing out games. And it's so rare that they would be in this situation where they have to set up Baron, so obviously, when a lot of other teams spend years learning this, Origen struggled with it, and that's why H2K in multiple fights actually around Baron, funny enough, came back. That was the first one where Origen tried to bait it a little bit. Jankos walks in, kills Peke, stopped the Baron. This was the second one, where it's just a TP in from Odamne, and everything kind of collapses for Origen.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the problem, though. Early game is one part of the game, mid game is another part, late game is a whole other part.
But you got to start somewhere.
You got to start somewhere.
Winning the early game is nice, a good strategy.
Yeah, I think they translated into mid game all right. Like they ended up getting the mid tower. It, like everyone collapsed, blah blah blah. Like they get the towers. It's great. Like it didn't look too bad. I think for whenever they started Baron and stuff, like maybe they shouldn't start it if they can't tank it and actually kill it. And then I'm not sure what Gragas was doing, if he got his TP cancelled or like what really happened. But they definitely need a tank to be there in the fight so he can frontline.
Good to see Origen, obviously, with a more proactive early game. Syncroft especially. A problem is that he's showing how good he is on Lee Sin. Coming
A jungler
into the
that's good on Lee
tournament.
Sin. Ooh.
I know, but that actually means now if you are the teams in the promotion tournament, a bit like we saw last week, like a Gileas on Schalke, also on Lee Sin, teams will just ban it away. Been like, that is the one champion where you are winning the early game for your team. So we're just gonna ban it every game until you show something else. So while it is really good that Origen showed a nice early game, it actually kind of sucks they've now done it twice on Lee Sin. Because that is obviously going to be a target ban early on from some of these challenger teams when they play Origen.
All right. Froggen, from what you've seen from H2K, is this a team that will make it far in playoffs, according to your trained
I think it's
eye?
pretty hard to tell since they played against Origen. But I mean, they're not bad. They're definitely a good team. I think the pace of which they're doing things, they can definitely do better. Then also just the setup in general, they look clunky. It just looks like they kind of do it alone, not really as a team per se. So, I mean, they can just look at it, and obviously they can improve. It really shouldn't be too hard for them to change these small things. So I think they're looking good.
Right, definitely. As you said, it was a series versus OG, so we don't know how much their heart was in it to do everything perfectly. Our player of the series was Che, and looking towards that bottom lane and how it has evolved, should that be a good card for them going into playoffs if they leverage their bot lane a bit more?
Yeah, 100%. I think Che and Nuclear have become, honestly, the most consistent lane they have. Down the bottom lane, it's so rare I ever see them like lose lane. I think Che in this game, his brand was fine. His Thresh in the last game had some really good saves as well. And it's kind of hard to say he was at fault for him falling so far behind because it was mid and top lane getting ganked, and Jankos, of course, in the jungle who fell behind. So I think Nuclear and Che coming into playoffs in Europe can go toe-to-toe with any bot lane. And I think also like the more time they have to learn even more English and get more synergy with the rest of the team just makes them even better. So I think Nuclear and Che has been a really good addition for H2K.
All right, well, we will see how H2K evolves. And moving on, Misfits, they had a surprising loss against Rocket last week, and we will see if they can bounce back against Giants right after this.
Look at these bicep stops. You see? There is almost nothing. Where? Okay,
Davian's very low on mana. First blood picked up by Syncroft. He's not done. Looking for Feathervin. Origen get a double kill. But here comes H2K. Look at those flashes. 1, 2, 3 from Origen. Odo's in the back line. He's got no AP, but he's got CC for days. Tabs is taken down. H2K now in a 4-on-2, trying to shut down Peke one last time. He's killed as Jankos dies immediately after. Odo and Nuclear take down the Nexus and secure second seed from Group B.